Hello everyone, it's Sloth here today with another archetype that we really like, Azorius Control. So basically what this deck does, the original idea was that we want to make sure that we have enough time to set up everything, and then we have good sweepers to make sure that the board is reset. So this is why you see so many 2-drops, because overall you want to make sure that you can survive every turn. Like enemy plays something, you basically answer it perfectly, and we go around, and at some point we will get to 6 mana or more, and then we sweep everything he did this game, and then we are ahead. So that's the main idea for the deck, and for this reason we have quite a lot of removal. We also have interesting card that I've been experimenting. It's similar role to the Sunset Revelry, so basically you gain life and you make a blocker. It's not tier 1, of course, but it has its use, and you need to think about playing this one, but it can really throw out the game for the enemy, because going through 1-3 is no joke, and the fact that you gain life also helps. And if not, it's just a land, so it's fine. Sunset Revelry, very good card. You usually are behind on the board, and you very often can get full value from this card. So I really like this. In this deck, I think it's even better than usual. Jwari, good benefit for playing 2-color deck. Make disappear. Like, this is one of the synergies with Professor Skyclave Cleric and Sunset Revelry, because I believe that you can go for the casualty, and during some of the games you will see that this makes or breaks the card. And honestly, I've been playing Quelch. I like the card, so I'm trying to make it work, and so far it's pretty useful overall. We have Negate because it's Negate. Big thing is Restoration of Eiganjo. That's a really powerful card in the deck, because you need a lot of lands for this deck. You need mostly a lot of planes, because both Devastating Mastery and like Emperor, Doomskar, Farewell all need quite a lot of white mana. And just a small introduction to the games, because you will see different cards in the video. Some of them at least, because I've been experimenting with a lot of deck lists, and yeah, I've been trying even invoke this the white invoke, so invoke justice, right? Because I wanted to make a loop with Kairi that we will cycle back to, but I just didn't like it in the end. So you will see some cards like Cemetery Protector and one less Cemetery Illuminator that we will talk about in a second. So I've been experimenting with different cards, and during the games I didn't like them enough, so that's why they are out. So Cemetery Protector, especially, you will see in some of the games. I've left them because this idea behind the deck is that we brew like interesting decks, and I'm sure that like me you have noticed that there are many cool cards that don't see much play. So I left those games because I think you can see exactly what's going on and how it feels to place those cards. So while they are nearly good enough, sometimes you see this small difference why they aren't in the deck. So I think that's enjoyable. I like watching videos like this myself, so hopefully you will too. Okay, back to the restoration. We really need a lot of mana, and believe me, this 3-4 guy with Vigilance, this won us so many games, especially against aggressive deck. Like 3-4 is basically perfect stat line for a lot of new decks that have creatures that have 3-3 haste and trample. So basically when they see this, they know they cannot go through. And whenever this blocks creates tokens, it means that he is not even incentivized to attack you, even if some bits of damage will go through, because the next turn you have even more creatures, so that's horrible for them. What more, it works nicely with the Emperor, and the chapter 2 is really nice with the Professor, with the Cleric, and with a lot of stuff like lands and so on. Remember, if you get back this, it comes back as a Cleric, not as a land, something to consider. So you cannot ramp in by using the Cleric, so that's something to remember. Okay, we also have Ondu's Inversion, that actually is an interesting card. It's extremely expensive, but with this deck, with Restoration of Eiganjo, we have more mana than usually, especially like with all the time that we have thanks to the live game cards. So I think this is a good fit, and it fits the main idea behind the deck. So we basically star, we gain life, we make blockers, enemy is annoyed, and then we get into such high mana positions that we can go better, like we can trade 5 for 1 and so on, and that's how we get the value to win the games. Yeah, Cemetery Illuminator. Card that is very interesting. I'm conflicted on this one. On one hand, it really can win you the game, and it's extremely powerful if it works and when it works. On the other hand, you will see that most of the time, whenever you play this card, it dies. It dies so quickly that I never seen creatures that die so quickly ever before. Basically, enemy feels inclined to kill it, and I know it by myself because when I met Simic version of this card, I always made sure to kill it moment it enters the battlefield. So it's really hard to use this card. I've included 2 copies. I was playing in most of the video with 1 copy of them, but I think it's a card that's worth seeing. I will tell you at the end of the intro what I think about the whole deck, so stay tuned if you want the final impression and so on after the games. But let's go through with the choices. Of course, we have Emperor and Memory Deluge because we need value. We have Kairi. Kairi, I think, is interesting in this deck because it's big mana, investment that can get back some of your key cards. So, for example, Devastating Master, Farewell, Doomskar. Those big cards that you cannot run many of them in the deck because it's too slow, and sometimes you will draw multiples. But this is basically in a way a Devastating Master or a counter spell or a Negate or a Memory Deluge, depending on what you need. So I think this flexibility and the fact that enemy cannot answer it easily without tapping out completely, I think it gives some value. And what more, we have some interactions. You can use Make Disappear to sacrifice Kairi in response to Vanishing Verse. So while you won't counter really the spell, or even if you counter it doesn't matter, you actually kill Kairi as a response, so you get the full value, and then you can get back to counter spells. So this is one of the reasons that I included in the deck. It's mini combo, sometimes it will come into play. Other than this, we have standard deck layout with the lands. You have Otawara, you have Eiganjo, nothing special here. Okay, and now the bonus for everyone that stayed until the end. So basically this deck is not super competitive. You probably noticed that we have a lot of tier 1 cards, and I've been experimenting with a lot of different combinations and so on, and I think it's fun. It feels different than the other control decks, so something a bit fresh, let's say, especially if you can get Cemetery Illuminator going, if you have Professors. I really like Lessons and this whole mechanic, and with Teachings of the Archaics, you really can grind enemy out of value. So it plays differently. It's not a Planewalker deck, it's not like this Esper control with remove counter spell. It's similar, but it works a bit different. So I think it's worth addition. So if anything, watch it as entertainment. I hope you will like the games. They are pretty cool. And yeah, before crafting this deck, you definitely want to, think twice, because it's not tier 1. It's definitely not tier 1. It's interesting deck that you can go on an adventure, let's say, but you probably in Mythic will lose more than you win. So that's a fair shot. It depends. Maybe if you play it well, it goes 50-50, but definitely not something you go with climbing and, getting high rank. So if that's your goal, definitely just watch the video and don't craft it. And if you like funky decks with funky cards, I think that's an interesting take on Azorius control. So tell me in the comments if you liked it. It's a bit different type of deck than I'm usually doing. I'm usually a person that likes to experiment a lot with cards, and it doesn't always go into top 100 Mythic, but I think it's still fun, and it's worth making and watching. So tell me what you think. If you like this kind of video, because I would really like to make more of those. There are a lot of interesting cards that we don't really take on because they are not competitive enough. So without further ado, let's go into the games. Really thank you, and as always, if you like the channel, you want to help it grow, I really appreciate it, and thank you, and subscribe. So let's go into the games and see you at the end. Okay, so This hand is interesting. We are on the play. I would really like to Jwari something. Let's start with this. This will be tapped, so we can as well cast it right now. And I think this will be white second, and then we will see. So we might lose some tempo with Jwari, but I would prefer to know. It might be extremely important. Yep, and we are against the all-time favorite deck of everyone, the new mono white. So what do they play? They definitely play something, so we don't foretell Doomskar. Jwari will be game winning. Well, winning is far from here, but definitely without Jwari we lose. So in that way maybe it's game winning, right? Yep, that's what I hoped for. Enjoy your non-counter. Also Negate, not the greatest card here. One of the few matchups that you probably don't love it. Also, that might have been a mistake, because you generally don't need to show the enemy that you have double white, because why would you? Yep, let's smark. So the mono white has found a better way to smork. Basically, that's what this deck is. Oh man, and next turn is Raichu, right? So it's what? 3 damage, 4 damage, and 5. 9. And everything has haste in this deck. I think we need to play around the fact that he maybe won't have it. Because this is a bit too much. So, if he has Raichu, land, and plays everything and smokes us for 4, that's good for him. If not, we are in. Okay. I wish I had Negate, but you know. Oh man, this is so hard. I think it's the Cleric. We will see. It might have been a bad decision, but this will block the one. And we don't foretell because we really want to hit something with Negate, and this creature is a prime target, so it's quite likely he has something. If we draw land, like we get it back, and we get the effect as well. You know what? I will take it. Not what we wanted, but maybe it's what we deserved. Huh. Smart codes. Man, I do want to keep up Negate, even though it doesn't seem he has something. But let's be honest, Katar is good remover, so whenever you see a creature, you probably want to use Katar on it. We don't make fake stops, because it's more likely for him to play if he sees no Jwari. Okay, didn't work, but you know. So, we can get the Professor, right? And then we Doomskar the Professor. How much do we want this? You know what? I will freaking take it. We can also... We don't have anything else, right? So if we discard Negate, we don't get any value. Okay, sure. We will do it. So what do we take? Is it the Science or the Mascots? It's probably the Science. It's a good card overall. I heard. So, Doomskar, we get back our Cleric, and we are ahead on the board with the Restoration of Eiganjo, and I think next turn he might scoop. Ha, you thought we will lose this one. And let me tell you this, I also thought it. I also thought we might lose this one. Okay, that's a good card. So, what do we get? Like, how does target permanent from graveyard to the battlefield? We can actually get it back. If we draw a plains. Yeah, sure. I'd love to get some more life. Oh man, this is freaking gold. Oh, but we have the token. Like, we have this thing. I think what we do, we definitely want plains with this one, because you can see the costs. And next turn we can cast Invoke Justice to get the Cleric. Oh man, do we actually go only for this? I think we need more creatures, like no reason to do it like this. And Negate can be game winning. I think that we won this game already. It might be a bait, But if it's a bait, that's a good bait. So bring it on, you have one more card. We actually won this game. I'm maybe not surprised, but I didn't believe for a moment when we saw the no Doomskar and stuff. Professor and Eiganjo, it seems they are pretty good. Okay, that's a really good start, and we have a lot of tap lands that we can get rid of. So let's start with the Raffine's Tower. We definitely want to fix our mana, and we definitely always get it tapped. The second one is Hall of the Storm Giants, because that's basically the card that always gets like this. And I mean tapped. We could cycle, so this seems to be some kind of Esper matchup. So we probably want to cycle this, right? We have better cards for the matchup. Yep. It seems to be some kind of control. And against control you want this as a land, because lands are extremely important in control matchups. So I guess it's Esper control, right? So we are basically playing very similar deck. Memory Deluge is huge, but we don't want to get Jwari. They shouldn't play Jwari with basics and 3 colors. So I think we risk it. Lately, a little bit less decks I think play Jwari. Especially like in 3 color, it can punish you very hard. So you generally need a very good reason to play Jwari in 3 color decks. Okay. What would you say? Actually, we could go for Doomskar, but I think Doomskar might be important in this matchup. Like, you can clearly see he's based on creatures. And you know what? I will take the Restoration. I like my planes. What can I say? Do we go for Professor or to keep up the Fateful Absence? I think we go for this. Yeah, we get the teachings. Let's make sure that we never fall behind on cards, or at least not so much. And it will probably force enemy to just go all in. Okay, that's interesting. So we basically kill Lord Fright. Do we want to discard something? This seems fine. Do we have something else? Not really. So we get another dude. And how do we deal with this? He's tapped out completely. You know what? I think we can go for a magic trick. They have to block it. Rolf will get bigger. I could even use the Emperor, but it's not the point of the play. So we basically force the trade. Yep. Now we do this. He wouldn't block if he knew what happens. And now we draw some cards. Okay? Feels good. Feels good. So basically his Lorth play was neutralized, and now we get the stuff. So now he needs to start answering our threats. So that's really good. It's 3 mana, 1 card, and he obviously wants to draw. He wants to draw so much. We only need double white, I think. Let's go for double blue. I think we need a lot of white in case of some devastating masters and, you know, this kind of shenanigans. I cannot really... The only reason not to attack is to block the spider when we make a token with the Emperor. But I don't think that's what we will do. It has menace, so we cannot block it anyway. And he won't trade, so... Like, you know, 1 damage. It's 1 damage. What can you say about 1 damage? It's cool. I guess we go for the Memory Deluge. We could also go for the Emperor. This seems to be like full-blown control, right? So they might have counter spells. But you know what? They need to play something on the board. Right now they aren't winning. And we can cast 2 spells, so Memory Deluge and Removal. So I think we can navigate this game in such a way we're happy. Which one is it? Oh, second one. Okay, I guess. Okay, that's the tokens. I will draw. I want to draw cards. And he has it. Okay. This is card that usually people don't play too much. So you don't really play around it. And waiting until 5 turns when we hit our counter spell, like sure. You got it, but you are completely tapped. So right now I think we go for the Emperor, right? Wow. Okay. That was really cool. So what is the play here? We could sweep, but I don't think it's good. I think the correct play is to play the Emperor and to plus it, because he has no way to get around it, and the faster you plus it, the better. We have also Fateful Absence and Counterspell that we can basically cast for 4 if we really want to. It's actually small bet interaction that you need to declare if you casualty during the casting, so enemy isn't forced to pay 2 and then pay 2, so he can make his turn a bit better. Yep. Enjoy. So he wants to bait a reaction, and he won't.
Always glad to meet my
Now he needs to do something. Yep. You have your underdog. And he wants the token. So I think we board clear right now, right? And make a token. That seems to be the best play right now. Let's attack. See what's up. Maybe he wants something. Okay, so 2 free damage acquired just by our amazing gaming skills. Okay, we'll see. That could be risky. In case he has like Negate. Man, like he has them all. His deck is basically a big test of talents. So that was the risk. If he blocked it, we wouldn't be able to counter. So that was my thinking, that there is a downside to this play, but hopefully, or luckily, it didn't matter. This deck is only test of talents. Like, man, what the hell are we doing here? All your deck does is casting test of talents. Like, what is this crap? And yeah, I think we just counter it, right? So, what's up, bro? I'm pretty sure he messed it up, right? Yeah, because he countered one copy that we casualty, and he didn't counter the casualty copy, and this one targeted new spell, right? I think that's... You will see in YouTube, you know? You will get there. I would have to just spend time here, and I'm sure someone will get bored with this, so I'm not doing this one. But I think he just misplayed it somehow. Yep. So that's basically forcing us to trade, and that's fine. This will die anyway, so we might as well keep our Emperor. And plus it probably. We might just leave the hole. Let's see what he attacks with. Submit 0. So the play is probably attacking with everything. And the Tenacious Underdog, and then we cast another Emperor. Yeah, I think that's the play. And we need to protect the second Emperor much better than we did already. It also means that he needs to tap out quite heavily. And we get rid of the Tenacious Underdog forever. Because we can block one with the Hole, but not both of them. We can actually do interesting thing and just go for the Hole. And this mana is so fishy. Is it Void Rend? Okay, so basically we can kill this guy. He gets the card, done. And next turn we can play the Emperor. He gets the card though, and that's something I really don't like. So when you get new Emperor, of course, they don't really attack the new one. You wish to keep. Let's not mess this one up. I'm doing this mostly to get rid of his cards. I don't want him to draw. He might even kill his own creature. Oh man. Like, this deck is basically built around beating decks like ours. Which is strange because everyone is playing Planewalkers right now. So Test of Talent is extremely worse than Negate for many games. But, I guess that's how he likes it. And Deadly Dispute was really good in this situation. Not sure about the deck, like... Well, it's good in the grinder games, but I'm not sure how he wins against fast decks. Like, he has everything that is slow. Okay, that's an interesting card. This is definitely interesting card. So it's probably the same situation as before, right? He will cast this, and then we can not protect it together with rest. Maybe I should kill the token at the end step. It seems to be good play in retrospect. So it means we lose the Emperor, so we might as well make a blocker.
Let your blade do the talking.
And you know what? Maybe that's the way to go. Ha, you didn't expect this one. And 7/7 is enough, so putting counter with the Emperor wouldn't matter. I much rather have different target like to play around. You need more mana, bro. You definitely need way more mana. Okay, sure. Okay, that's interesting play. So it seems that he doesn't have an answer, and he wants to find an answer. I think that's our only game-winning move, just trying to smoke him. We will see if he has life gain. Like, Tenacious Underdog doesn't look so hot right now, when you are at 6. Okay, so you make a token, you make a Raffine. Like, we are at 22, so we have a lot of time to just sneak this one little attack, and we have ways to do it, definitely. We might even Ondu Inversion here. If we attack with both, then it's not great. Can we do this? No, we are short 1 mana. You know what? I think we play the Professor and see what's up. So what is the play? Is it Mascot Exhibition or Teachings? I like Teachings. It's probably the wrong choice, but I will still take it. I also want lands. So, will you play a card? He needs to play a card if he wants to prevent the draw. And I'm going full control for this one. That's what I thought.
Run away.
You know what?
Safer.
That seems smart. I feel smart right now. We don't need to waste, because we will undo Inversion next turn. Yeah, after we draw lands. Man, I cannot speak. So enjoy. And that's our land for the next turn. This is what will make Ondu's Inversion game-winning move, hopefully. We don't attack. This creates some pressure to defend the Emperor at least. And let's be honest, it wouldn't have sense to attack at all. So now we have stuff. At some point we will have enough mana to use the whole and a sweeper, but it's not this turn, and not the next one. Another Professor is quite good. Okay, so he's trying to go for the kill. Is Emperor activated? It is, and he won't get the token, so he has Hive. Hive, and we deal 4 damage. Do we take 8? Enemy has so much mana. Let's go like this. I think our HP will be more of a problem than him. He plays like he has a counter spell. And if he counters the Ondu's Inversion, we are in the trouble. Haito. Haito is unfortunate because it will phase out during the turn when we want to destroy everything, and then it can create a blocker. Even if it dies, it can create a blocker. And if it doesn't, it's even better. Like, look at this freaking deck. 3 Deadly Disputes, 3 Test of Talents, no Fox given. Like, what the hell? Oh man. My clans aren't the worst here, to be honest. But I would much rather live one more turn and Devastating Master whatever happens. If we activate... So, what is his plan? He wants to activate the Hive, and did we just won? Okay, let's not get excited, I think we just won. 2 mana here, I don't want to highlight so he doesn't see it. Yep. Let's go for blue. When we activate this, what happens? We have correct mana, we have all colors. Enemy might pay a ward, so we will see what exactly is going on. If he activates the Hive, he loses the game. And this mana doesn't seem like a coincidence, so I would think that's his plan. Maybe not. But we have another hole, so he needs, like, to remove a lot of stuff during multiple turns. Can you click this high? Oh, it's happening! It's happening! I thought he should pay more mana. Not sure why it's not so much. But that's your doom, my friend. And now you have only 2 mana and you cannot kill her. And we won? I think we won. Oh man, we navigated the game that I don't think we should win into winning. That's why you have 2 horrors, because they really kill quickly. Okay, so man, we are again first. It must be my lucky day, really. So this seems like a bit of a control-y stuff. Moon Face. No, like, I think he's some kind of aggro. So, we start with this. Like, this card is something you basically want to draw later. If you really draw it as a start, I think you usually play it. So, we have 1 blue. And we have so many planes. It doesn't seem to be aggressive, so let's play like this. And make sure that our tap lands are out of the game and out of equation, and Restoration of Eiganjo is the name of the game. It might get Jwari. Pathways. Let's see. If we get Jwari, that sucks, but I don't think waiting and being behind for the full game. Okay, that's actually good. This is counter that would get something sooner or later, so we wouldn't play around it for the full game. And now we are in the position when we can start casting stuff. Like, we Memory Deluge and we see what he's doing. So, do you allow it? You have 1 counter spell. Like, okay, we are basically doing the same thing then. Okay, so Fateful Absence seems pretty sweet, and I think we go for the Illuminator. It's also pretty sweet. Man, this is perfect. I heard we like Emperors, but I do not. And now we can go for the instance, which is even sweeter. Okay, what I should have done, that was a mistake. That was a mistake, I will tell you why. Basically, I should have played this one first, because it's possibility that on the top there is Fateful Absence. And then we would be able to cast it, instead of using the one from the hand. It's like very low probability to ever give you advantage, but it can. And if it does, like, you look like a genius. And who doesn't like to look like a genius? And like, serious talk, whenever you have some chance to do better, this is a Eiganjo, by the way. Every time you can get any percentages of additional shot that you shouldn't have, this is basically how pros work, right? They win games based on some small plays, small percentages, and the difference between winning 55% of your games and 60 is pretty huge. Sure. Man, it really tells how powerful this card is that it always gets removed, always. Like every single game, people will remove it. We can invoke something, but we don't have very good targets, so I think we go for the Emperor first. And we won't have mana anyway, so we can do it like this now. Isn't this very fishy mana? Like, I mean, make disappear fishy also with the creature. I'm pretty darn sure he has it. This sneaky little bugger. Oh, I see. Now you can answer my Emperor. Because right now we are sure that he doesn't have a counter spell. And yeah, he probably can remove Emperor, but it is awkward and he doesn't have any like board kills, so he needs to invest cards into it. Okay, and it did. Okay, in my head it looked a bit better than paying 1 mana, but that was a good card. That was a good card, that answers perfectly.
Years of training.
I have Memory Deluge. That was the plan all along. And jokes aside, we have Invoke Justice, so we can actually go really nicely. Let's start with the Professor, because it's really scary card. He can make disappear. I'm all the time I'm playing around make disappear, because I think that's something he might have. Do we wait one more turn, then he can empty his hand. And right now he needs to sacrifice the Samurai and get the counter spell, and only then it works. And I think that's what we want, because then we can invoke Justice permanent. Well, okay, it's not loyalty counters, it's +1/+1, but we will take the Professor. Oh man, that's a good draw. Like, we are getting somewhere with this. We need to really be careful about the counter spells. Not sure how many he has and what type. He has 3 color. Okay, and we are getting into Devastating Mastery area. And you can get Professor back. That's smart. That's smart. I can respect that. So basically he buffs both creatures, but he needs to discard something that isn't a land. Oh, and he didn't. Man, his hand must suck if he couldn't even spare 1 card to get this block. And we block because we most likely Devastating Mastery. Sometimes if you are playing against like board of tokens, so for example treasure tokens, creature tokens from the Emperor, like treasures, you can actually cast Devastating Mastery for 4 mana and get the same result. Remember, tokens don't get bounced into the hand, so sometimes it's like a free value if you notice it. I think we could just go for the haul. He needs to sacrifice one of the creatures or lose the Emperor. I honestly think it's fine. With Devastating Master we can play a bit different. Because... Smark. With Devastating Master you can tap out. What's the worst he can do? He can play a lot of stuff, right, that you won't counter. But when you destroy everything in the battlefield, like, you don't really care. The correct decision is to sacrifice the token and save the Emperor. Let's see if he does it. Like, he shouldn't think that he can just kill us with, you know, smorking every turn. And I think that this is Vanishing Verse. I think he has Vanishing Verse or Make Disappear, one of them. A good part about Hall is that the Emperor cannot punish it, because when it's tapped it's not a creature anymore, like unless he played the Emperor this turn, right? So that's really something. Like, if we had 7/7 I wouldn't attack the Emperor, because it's obvious he will block, and it's obvious that we don't kill the Emperor, and it's obvious that our creature is tapped, and then he -2 kills it, and we are screwed. Okay, that's a good card. It's smart to play it on the Blitz cost. That's more scary than the other one, because it really pushes up the counters. And you can see he always keeps up this 2 mana, so he definitely has something. I think with Devastating Mastery. Oh, that's what you were having for the full game. I see, I see. This is actually a really good combo with the Make Disappear. because you lose the creature anyway. Oh, now we have one. Okay, that actually is extremely good for us. That was no priority. That's really important to know. In those 5 cards, he had no 2-mana instant, so no Vanishing Verse then. And no Make Disappear. I really played around it. That's strange. Oh, I think... No, Vanishing Verse can target your own creature. So we have so much mana that I'm not super scared. What we take back? I think Professor. Professor seems best. It will be what, 6/5 I believe? Something like this, right? And we have planes, so sure. Yeah, and we can take it with the dragon later. Target permanent, so let's get this one. That will be the player. And I will probably take teachings. This is the reason why we have to. We very often have like card negative advantage. That's not advantage at all. Oh, you want to counter it? You wanted to counter it? My friend, please let me play. Let me play my game. I'm enjoying this one. So yeah, teachings. I think teachings is enough pressure. So if he goes for the control game, we cast the teachings and we draw a lot of cards. If he goes for the board, we sweep everything. And if he doesn't, like, we smork him with the core. He's really incentivized to not draw cards. To be honest, this is one of the reasons I love taking teachings of the archives, even if I never cast it. It creates so much pressure. Enemy hates you drawing cards. And they usually play around it so much that they lose more than they gain. Or at least, like, the fact that we have this in the hand already makes his play super awkward. You can see how much he was thinking about this, and this is clearly best play he has. And that actually might kill us very quickly. So we need to be careful. Negate is a good draw. I do like this draw. This is a bit too slow. So I think the correct play is to do nothing this turn, because if he attacks, then we use the hole. If he tries to kill the hole, we use the negate. And we have perfect mana for this, so we have 6 here. This is the 6 mana to activate the hole, then we have 3 mana. And you don't want to use hole to pay for the negate, because he will kill it before. So basically, if you tap out the hole, sure, you survived, but then he just kills you. That's a good draw. Smart. I like this guy. But can you do this? Can you do this? And we have Negate all the time. Man, like, Negate is my favorite card in this set. Like, seriously, it's so freaking cool. March, because I hate this underdog. It pains my insides every single turn. So the question is, do we go for Professor or the Memory Deluge to find more answers? Because right now Raffine kills us, right? And this doesn't sound very convincing for me. Oh man, that's actually quite awkward. What do we have in the sideboard that might save us? Like, we can exile Raffine and make a small token. I guess we go for this. It kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie. I don't like this part of my choices. And as you can see, we don't need 2 stitchings, we have a lot of stuff. So the question is, do we go for the master? I don't think it's great. Let's see. Man, enemy definitely has something. But he needs to remove the Professor, but I consider this thingy already dead. We could go for the science, maybe. But I think this is just better. So if we play this, man, it will be so mana intensive. We need to pay the ward, so we have 4 mana left. We pay 3 for the underdog. Man, this ward actually makes us play 1 less card, which sucks. But it's not like we have a choice, right? So let's see what the enemy has. I think we use the March and exile the Restoration. So then we can get more of a... Yeah, that's perfect. Because then we have even mana for counter spell. So this is March. No, we have only for 1 extra mana. So actually his counter spell will counter something. But we have Negate of our own. Okay, much better. I much rather like this creature that you have right now. And like he has only 4 cards, it's not like he can do everything. Is this the Negate? I think it has to be, right? And he had Vanishing Verse in it. Oh man, so close. Like, right now, if he has the right answers, he wins. But he has only 3 cards. And not as much mana as you might think. And he knows that he's dead to... Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. So let's see, maybe he doesn't attack with the thing. Problem is, when he attacks, he puts the counter on Raffine. And we need to exile Devastating Master to even try to kill Raffine. This guy is smart, he's playing it very well. He's exactly playing around stuff that we are doing in a very timely fashion. So, let's do it. He outplayed us. Like, we had all the answers, but they were just all a bit too late. And that was a really good game. Yeah, my friend? Okay. So he wanted to show us what he had, and that was really well played by our enemy. Moonface, you deserve this win, definitely. Nice. Okay, we are going first, and to be honest, we have quite sweet hand. So this one is definitely not a cleric, it's just a Basilica. But oh man, we are good. We can actually just go full aggro mode on this guy. Do we? Man, I just want to do it. Like, how fun is just outpacing aggressive deck with clerics? Also, his op will be even more awkward than usually. And we'll just do it again. We actually will cast the Illuminator. It's also a good check in case enemy wants to remove stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not the most threatening creature on the world, but it's freaking irritating. Look how irritating it is. Oh man, enemy actually got a good card against us. So do we play into it? I think we play like this. I'm pretty sure that's the correct play. Smark. How fun is this? Man, oh man, I got so excited I forgot to play land, but it doesn't matter because we have clerics. Don't worry, it's fine. Don't worry, it's fine. It's fine. Let's pretend we missed the land drop for, you know, reasons. And I think we force him to do the thing. And let's see what the next card for our graveyard is. Sure, I'll take the Sorcerer. And I think we don't attack this turn, right? No reason to. We could do it to lose a creature before we cast something, then Sunset Revelry would be nearly full power, but I don't really think that's the play. I think he will use the full turn to exile our Illuminator because it's a scary card. Okay, this is also pretty scary. Not sure what we are playing against, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure it involves some Despairs. Or some milling, but most likely Despairs. Yep, scary thing. But he cannot really attack, thanks to the clerics. If he wants the treasure, he needs to sacrifice the token, and honestly I feel like it's a bad decision by him. Not even our amazing skills at not playing our cards will save him. So for this reason we don't attack. Jokes aside, you don't really want to be super aggressive with those because they are much more of a defensive creature, right? And I mean much more. But look how stale the game became because we have those. Yeah, like I mean, sure. We will take stuff. Let's get some lands, let's fix our mana. Like, yeah, you will get a bit punished that you don't have high mana for like Memory Deluges, but we will get there, and this gives us so much extra time. And enemy would already keep making treasures every turn if not what we did right now. So that's pretty sweet, I think. I would really like to counter something. We need to get rid of the Kiki-Jiki. Unfortunate. And I really don't want to exile cards. Oh man, exiling cards would be so amazing here. Like his next turn will be big. Do we exile one? Okay, let's do it. Man, I don't feel great about it, but I think that in this situation it is justified. Because basically we might need to sacrifice one of the clerics in order to counter something big. Like we don't have super much value. It's hard for us to answer threats before we cast Deluge and dig deeper into the deck. So I do think that's correct. Because he has treasures, right? So his turn will be big. We can counter it. We need, as you cast the spell, man, like, we can counter it. But then we need to show him that we will, so he doesn't pay. And then he attacks with the shaman. But you know what? Let's do it. I will freaking do it. That's the point, right? We still go 2 for 2 basically. And he, man, maybe he pays. No. So let's counter this one. It seems to be a good idea. Maybe enemy will pay, but let's be honest, he won't. I don't think there's any player in Mythic that would pay this. And this one is redundant, but if we didn't do it, then he would just pay 2 treasures and get the new one. Yep, now he can attack, that's a good decision. But we have Memory Deluge, so that's why this play was made. Like we basically cycled this far, right? And we will go into Devastating Master at some point, which overall is quite sweet. By the way, we have less creatures, and you can see like how defensive this deck is. Like it's so hard for the enemy to even try to hit us, not even talking about killing us. If not those clerics, we would probably be at like 15 or 13, something like this. Okay, so enemy wants the treasures badly. And I mean badly. Might be a good choice. Because we can only kill one of them. He might kill our token or something. So maybe we should... Yeah, we should definitely double block this. So that was my bet. It's like he basically trades 1 card for 1 treasure token. And, you know, it's good on card advantage for us. But still, I think that was a mistake anyway. Okay, we need to cast Memory Deluge because we are a bit starved for value right now. And I think we do it main phase. Because then we don't switch and he doesn't get the loot, and like the cards that he has in the hand are really important right now. Devastating Master, that's definitely what we wanted. And I think Memory Deluge, so we can keep refiring. That's our strategy, right? So basically we ramp stuff, then we reset the board, and then we start over. So that seems like a good idea here. Especially with Kiki-Jiki, Celestus, and we will make sure that he never got the value from Celestus. He only has 4 mana. Look, we played so many clerics and still. Man, I hope he plays something to save the token. And all of his mana is tied basically to his shamans and treasures. So when we sweep everything that's non-land, that will hurt him so much. Oh yeah, oh yes, play more, my friend. Oh, and we even got the negate. It sucks that we got the tap land. That actually does suck. And I think we need to do it right now. Will he have counter spell? Like, we could cast it for student's cost. It's not great. But then we are making sure that he loses all of this. And then we counter whatever one play he makes. Yeah, he will have 5 mana, so he cannot even double spell. We have double Devastating Master, but it might also be at the end of the deck, so maybe that's unnecessary risk. Man, this tapland really hurts. It really does. We would be able to counter spell, if not that. So I think what we are doing... So you can see, like, with the Cleric, you need to think about the matchup, how aggressive it will be. But by the way, like, we are at such late game pretty much, and we are at 20. So I really do think it bought us so much time that it was worth it. And let's just get the card advantage. Enemy is at 3 cards. I hope he doesn't do anything strange. Okay, that's so good. I was fearing that he might sacrifice all treasures and just start going off with some stuff. See? Nothing really happens. Do we attack him? Oh man, we still lack 1 land for everything. I guess that's my bad. So we have 2 options. We go full control mode or just smork him and try to kill him before he reacts. He doesn't have very good answers, honestly, to the whole. I will try this one. Like, he needs 1 mana, kill any creature to pay the ward. Like, first hit sucks, because it basically doesn't do anything, but every other hit will start being scary. And after we hit it again, like, basically every turn until the rest of the game, he needs to play around it. Sure. So, I hope you brought some toys. Oh man, that's such a good draw. And I'm not lying, the fact that we have Negate pretty much made sure that we won this game. So I think the win is here. And that's why sometimes you need to be aggressive with the whole... It's really hard to decide. I think we would win in the longer game as well. But if you make a wrong call, you will lose the game. Like, if you activate it when he can kill it. Oh, I see. What will happen if you counter it? Do you have, like, other blockers? Because I'm pretty sure... Wow. Yeah. So he wanted to make tokens. And now he dies. I don't think this despair was correct call, unless he really didn't have anything, so maybe he was forced to do it and try to draw into something. So it turns out being aggressive really worked out.